Okay, so who hasn't looked in the mirror,
Hmm.
right, and kind of wish they could turn back time a bit?
It's a universal feeling.
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today, this whole idea of anti-aging, with a deep dive into GenFX.
Ah, GenFX.
Yeah, it's an HGH supplement, and they promise some pretty amazing age-defying results. We're breaking down an article from TopNaturalHealth.com, and let me tell you, they really hype up GenFX.
I bet. So are we going to see if it lives up to the hype?
You know it. We're
Like-
going to dig into the science, the claims,
Oh.
the whole 9 yards, so you can decide if it's worth checking out.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Awesome. Let's do it. So this article really hones in on HGH, human growth hormone.
Right. And they're not wrong when they say that HGH levels drop as we age.
Yeah.
That part's true. And yeah, lower HGH is linked to a lot of the classic signs of getting older.
Yeah, they definitely play on that, don't they? They throw around phrases like sagging skin, diminished muscle mass, all the good stuff.
Yeah, they paint quite the picture, don't they?
They do. But basically what they're suggesting is that if you boost those HGH levels, you can kind of like recapture that youthful energy. Is that like actually possible?
That's the million-dollar question. So they claim that GenFX uses this blend of amino acids, herbal extracts, even some animal-derived components, all to kickstart HGH production.
Okay, so it's like they're trying to give your pituitary gland, that's the one that makes HGH, right?
Yeah.
A little nudge.
Exactly. Instead of going straight for HGH injections, they're presenting a more, shall we say, natural approach.
Right. So instead of like going straight to the source, they're saying, we're going to tweak things over here and that'll boost things over there.
Exactly. But how exactly do those ingredients work? That's what we need to find out.
Yeah, because they emphasize these three main categories. They've got the amino acids, they've got the plant-based stuff, and then the animal-derived ingredients.
Each one with a specific role to play in their so-called HGH boosting symphony.
The symphony of youthfulness.
Yeah.
I like that. Sketchy. But, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Marketing is marketing.
Right, let's break it down.
Exactly. So, they claim GenFX can increase muscle mass and strength, make your skin look all youthful and elastic, boost your energy levels, help you manage your weight, even sharpen your thinking.
Big claims.
Huge. So let's take them one by one, starting with, like, everyone's favorite, increased muscle mass and strength.
Okay, so to their credit, they do highlight the role of amino acids in muscle growth. They talk about L-arginine specifically.
Okay. And is there, like, any science to back that up?
There is. There is a study in Current Medical Research and Opinion that found that supplementing with L-arginine actually did lead to increased lean muscle mass in older adults.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just, like, a marketing ploy? There might be something there.
Right, there's something to it.
Okay, so what about the claims about improved skin tone and elasticity? I mean, let's be real. We all want to get rid of wrinkles.
The eternal quest. Well, this is where things get a little, shall we say, murky.
Murky.
Yeah, so they talk about GenFX boosting collagen, which we know is super important for keeping skin looking young, but they don't actually cite any research to back that up.
So they're banking on us just knowing that collagen is good for skin, but not really showing us the receipts.
Pretty much. And it's important to remember, collagen is complex. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Definitely not. Okay, so what about their other claims? Like the increased energy, the weight management, the brain power boost. Do any of those hold water?
So they mention a study in nutritional neuroscience suggesting certain amino acids in GenFX could have benefits for cognitive function,
Yeah.
especially in older folks.
Interesting. But what about the weight management? Because honestly, that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's where they get really vague. No concrete evidence to support those claims. It's mostly just, trust us, it works.
It's like they pick and choose what to back up with science.
It's a pattern we see a lot, unfortunately.
Something to think about. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're diving into the safety and usage of GenFX. And more importantly, what does all this mean for you? Don't go anywhere. And we are back, still digging into GenFX and all its anti-aging promises.
Promises, promises. We were just talking about those claims and the science, or sometimes lack thereof, behind them, but we got to talk safety too, right?
Right, and they make a big deal about GenFX being 100% natural with no known side effects. Almost like it's from nature, so it must be good for you.
Like it's some gentle herbal tea.
Exactly, but we know it's not always that simple, right?
Not at all. Just because something's natural doesn't mean it's automatically safe. Or even effective, for that matter.
True.
There are tons of natural things out there that can cause problems. You could have Interactions with medications, unforeseen side effects, you name it.
Which is why it's so important to actually, do your research and talk to your doctor. They do mention dosage 2 capsules a day with a meal.
Right, but they're careful to add in that little disclaimer about consulting your doctor before starting any new supplement.
Covering their bases.
Exactly. It's like they're painting this picture of a younger, more muscle, fewer wrinkles, sharper thinking, but then they got to protect themselves legally, too.
Yeah, you got to cover your bases, especially in this day and age. But it does highlight why it's so important for people to, be savvy consumers, right?
Yeah.
Look beyond the flashy marketing and really understand what the science says.
Absolutely. Don't just take their word for it. Read those independent reviews. Look for those studies, especially the ones that aren't funded by the company selling the product. Knowledge is power.
Preach. Okay, but I want to zoom out for a sec. We're talking about GenFX, but it's just one product in this whole anti-aging market, right?
Yeah.
This desire to slow down or even reverse aging is huge.
Huge is an understatement.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on this whole movement? Is it all just harmless, wanting to look and feel your best? Or are there, ethical lines we got to think about?
Right, because on the one hand, wanting to feel good as you age, that's natural.
Totally. We all want to stay healthy and vibrant.
Exactly. But there's a difference between healthy aging and pushing this, impossible standard of never aging at all, right? Are we preying on people's insecurities here?
That's the question, isn't it? It's almost like we're, as a society, afraid of aging. Everything's about fighting it, hiding it, erasing it.
Right, like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But what if we embraced aging as just a normal part of life?
Imagine that. Celebrating the wisdom and experience that comes with age. Valuing our elders instead of trying to erase the signs of their lives.
It's powerful, right? Maybe true youthfulness comes from within, from having a sense of purpose, feeling connected, accepting yourself at every stage.
I think you're onto something there.
Okay, but let's bring it back to GenFX. Claims, science, the whole anti-aging landscape. What's the takeaway for our listeners who are trying to make sense of it all?
The bottom line, there's no quick fix for aging. It's complicated. Genetics, lifestyle choices, even HGH levels, it all plays a role.
Right. And while GenFX has some ingredients that might have some potential, you got to be skeptical.
Absolutely. Do your homework. Talk to your doctor. And make choices that actually align with your goals.
Totally. And speaking of making informed choices, this article talks a bit about the safety of GenFX too. All right, so we're back wrapping up our deep dive into GenFX and this whole anti-aging thing. We've covered a lot, from the sciencey stuff to the bigger picture of it all.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. Yeah. But let's bring it all home for our listeners. We're hit with these anti-aging messages constantly, so what do we do with all this info?
It's about making choices, right? Choices that make sense for you.
Totally. So to recap, GenFX claims it can fight those signs of aging by upping your HGH production. And they say it's this mix of amino acids, plant extracts, even some stuff from animals. And some research suggests certain ingredients might be helpful, but
there's not really research on GenFX as a whole product.
Right, that's important to remember. So for anyone listening who's thinking, maybe I should try GenFX, or any supplement really, what's the #1 piece of advice?
Talk to your doctor. Seriously.
Can't go wrong with that.
They know your medical history, your meds, potential risks. They can give you personalized advice.
It's like having an actual expert in your corner. What else?
Don't just read what's on the company website,
Do your homework.
Yes. Look at reviews from real people, research studies, especially those that aren't funded by the company trying to sell you something.
Get the full picture.
Exactly. Oh, and one more thing. Trust your instincts. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Words to live by. Now, before we go, one last thought. This GenFX article, and a lot of anti-aging stuff out there, really focuses on the physical side of aging. But it's so much more than that, right?
Right.
It's experience, it's wisdom, all those things that make a life interesting.
It's about embracing the journey, not just hitting pause or rewind.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that is it for today's deep dive into GenFX. We hope you learned something and maybe feel a little more empowered to make those healthy aging choices.
To your health.
Cheers to that. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.